Is the beginning after the end worth watching? This anime has a lot of buzz around it, but not in the most positive light. But I'm going to get into every aspect of the story, from its animation to its storytelling, so you can see if this anime is worth watching for you. The Beginning After the End is a fantasy isekai story of a brutal dictator from a sci-fi fantasy world getting reborn into a high fantasy setting. While his body still develops as a child, in his mind he knows of his past life, which you'll hear from his deep kingly voice as his internal monologue. And the decision to have that voice is really funny, because we spend quite a bit of time with him as an infant with a battle-hardened warlord in his head. The story focuses on the perspective of Arthur, our main character. Through his inquisitive mind, we learn about the magic system, the different societies, and the many characters he encounters. Overall, I have the same feeling about Arthur as all of the other side characters, and pretty much everything else about this story except the animation. It's alright. The show felt weird because a lot of the writing is very amateurish, but at the same time it's oddly compelling. Most of the characters are good people, and Arthur has both of his parents alive and really cares about his family, which is nice to see. Arthur makes a lot of good, genuine friendships, which makes caring about them really easy. The negative side of this, however, is that it all feels pretty shallow. The dramatic problems he faces are often solved too easily, with characters who seem a bit too reasonable to be real. There's a certain elf character who is especially atrocious. He has a small arc that feels like a moral lesson in a children's story. It's really bad. As far as I can tell, this is the author's first published work, and he's been writing it for like 10 years. So I assume the quality of writing improves as it goes on. While the story, characters, and world building are pretty generic, the best part is in its pacing and adventure. The pacing is very slow compared to most isekai. The show has some time skips, but it shows a lot of Arthur's childhood. It is funny though, watching a 4-year-old have to fight bandits. I'm not exaggerating either, it's specifically stated he is 4 years old for the first arc of the story, which is insane. Despite not being super fast, the story still moves along nicely, only occasionally getting dull while dealing with the more mundane parts of Arthur's life. But my favorite part of this show is the slice of life adventure. Instead of having a major point of conflict and overarching plot with some big bad guy or a world-ending threat, we just watch Arthur's life play out. There are big moments where his circumstances massively change, but it doesn't lead him on a major quest or force him to confront some big enemy. It feels like real life. Finally, I have to mention the animation. It's weird. Overall, the show actually looks pretty good. Most of the time, I didn't mind the animation at all and thought maybe it was overhated or had one bad scene. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Every single fight turns into a slideshow. There's more movement in random conversations than there are in the battles. It's so bizarre. I've definitely seen worse, but all the intensity of any fight is completely washed away when it pans against one drawn frame, leaving you to imagine the entire thing. Despite that, The Beginning After the End is a pretty decent show. It's really nothing special, and I don't want to hype it up a lot because of that, but there is something here that you might really enjoy. Better animation would have been a huge help, but the slow pace and wholesome story adds some uniqueness to this otherwise generic show. It's a B-tier show and it's a 6, but I could easily give it a higher rating depending on how it continues. Thanks so much for watching. For a very different fantasy show, check out this review of Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works on the end screen, and subscribe for more seasonal reviews. That's all for me. Jamyo.